Hello, my name is Crystal Petry, and you are watching another episode of the Crystal Petry Podcast, Season 3. Today's episode features a powerful voice in business transformation, an entrepreneur who has built her reputation helping organizations break through stagnation, scale with intention, and move from surviving to thriving. With a strategy grounded in clarity, culture, and community, she's here to share real insights that empower leaders to grow sustainably. Welcome to the podcast, Marcela Florenco. Did I get it?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, so Marcela, tell us, where in the world are you?
I am in Coconut Creek, Florida. So that is in Broward County, maybe 25, 30 minutes from Fort Lauderdale Airport.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's get into this. I love what it is that you are doing as a coach and as a mentor in this space. What inspired you to build a business focused on other businesses and helping them get unstuck?
So I genuinely love the challenge of walking into a business and seeing how a few intentional changes can save money and improve operations and just restore the clarity. The first step is always getting them organized and aligned with their vision. So once I understand, where the business wants to go, then I really help create a roadmap and the systems to get them there. I just love that challenge, that vision, making it concrete.
When a company is stagnant or they're stuck, what are normally the first warning signs that leaders miss? And I know that it could be different for different companies and different for different leaders, but just kind of overall, what are some of those warning signs?
So leaders usually miss the early signs of misalignment, right? So this looks like team working hard, but not moving in the same direction. Everybody's just working hard with their own, vision. So they repeat the mistakes, they slow the decision making, and they have inconsistent communication. So another huge one is burnout, right? When some people are always putting out fires, then it's just a sign of deeper structural issues that are just being ignored.
Okay. What or how do you define organizational growth without, I mean, of course, profit and revenue, that's always in there. But outside of that, how do you define organizational growth?
Time is money. So growth is time and delegation. If your time is not being used wisely, you're either losing money or leaving money on the table. So when the operations run smoothly, everybody knows their role, the business grows organically because the owner finally has the space to think, to lead, and to grow.
What are some common structural issues that keep businesses from growing and scaling?
So it's really starts with not having a strong foundation.
Okay.
Most businesses are built on personality of the owner instead of documented systems, clear roles, and then repeated processes. So you cannot scale something that lives inside somebody's head.
Okay. And how do you help leaders? This is a two-part question. How do you help leaders get that system or the feelings out of their head and onto paper so that other people can follow those systems? And how do you help leaders identify these blind spots?
Okay, so I'm going to start by addressing the blind spot.
Okay.
What I call the blind spot is something that they're not prepared for, something unexpected. So when somebody knows how to do something and that person quits, then the business starts falling apart, right? Or when, for example, a restaurant or someone in the food industry has a fire or the AC breaks and you don't have systems in place
Mm-hmm.
People freak out, they panic, and they spend hours trying to put out fire versus you say, in case this happens, then this. Or this person quits, but everybody knows what that person does. So then there are no blind spots. So you just just build that structure no matter who's running the business. So it doesn't matter if the owner is in China on vacation. When this happened, then this is what we put into action. And then we eliminate the blind spots.
I would think, Marcela, that lack of systems is actually a blind spot on the leaders. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because then anything happens and the business falls apart. I'll say that 90% of the owners go on vacation and they can't take a day without their phones because of their fear of something happening.
Hmm. What would you say? I know you say you love going into these businesses and being able to make changes and see things that maybe the leaders are not able to see at that time. What is one strategic shift that you feel like almost always leads to clarity for the leaders?
Writing everything down. Writing everything
Really?
down, align goals. Yes. When the leader dumps everything from their head, they
Hmm.
can actually put that into plans. So they clear things out. So it's doing a mind dump, then organizing their thoughts, and then separating them.
So when you say write things down, you're talking literally pen and paper or maybe on your computer or laptop, writing everything down that you think, or is it writing everything down that you do, or is it both?
Both. Having a mind dump so you're no longer storing it here. Once it goes from your head to the paper,
Hmm.
your brain relaxes, your brain rests, and then you can think of new ideas, you can think of new things, right? And then same with the business, when you write down every single thing that you have to do, everything that you do, not only you can create systems and you can see patterns,
Hmm.
but also like it gives you time to think of new things, new ideas, so you can do it on a personal or on a professional. So for example, for a whole week, every single day you write down every single thing that you have to do, then you're gonna be like, okay, every day I'm doing these things, and then find ways to either delegate or automate those things, right? So you're not repeating and doing the same thing over and over, and now you're able to store it and rest it. So now your brain is free for other things.
Yes, yes. Okay, so how do you distinguish between a company needing restructuring and a company needing realignment? And what are your definitions for those two words, realignment and restructuring?
Um, so restructure and realignment. Realignment is making sure that everybody has the same vision.
Okay.
Now, restructure is taking those visions and working with the person's superpower. So, what the person's superpower is, it's something that you're naturally good at. So it's something that comes to you easy, and others might struggle to get that. So you figured out what the person's superpower is and what the vision is, and then you redirect and you assign the projects based on what someone is naturally going to be good at.
Mhm. And that seems like common sense to me. Like you're empowering the people that are great at like maybe being a waitress or great at face to face with someone. That seems like common sense, is it
But
not?
that's when you restructure, because people get so caught up on the job description.
Hmm.
This person was hired to do this, and that they don't see that a person is struggling and somebody else can be really, really good and do it really easy,
Yes.
right? So that's when restructuring comes into place. It makes more sense for this person to do this because they do it easily, and this person to do something else. So you have to be open minded in order to restructure.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's still common sense, but it makes sense. I get that.
It's
What?
not really common sense
Okay.
because people get so caught up with the job descriptions.
Hmm.
You have to have flexibility.
How do you put that in job descriptions?
So I'm going to give you like a good example. I am hired to do the finances of the company,
Hmm.
but I naturally have great people skills. I am a great person to do customer service, to do follow ups, and to do sales, right? So, not being so caught up in saying this person's there for finances and allowing this person to do follow ups for you and allowing this person to participate in sales meetings.
Hmm.
So it's deviating a little bit, and maybe, this person that got hired for the finances does so well in selling the business and doing the sales calls that it might be worth it for you to hire somebody else to do their job. Just because they're good at it and they have experience doesn't mean that's the best place for them. So it's not always common sense. It's actually finding the person's strength and what they're good at and, restructuring.
Okay, so I'm gonna push back a little on this, Marcella.
Okay.
I know we're talking about leaders and helping them get unstuck and helping them scale their business. But in that example, should the employee have a better awareness of, okay, there's this financial position open, but I'm better in customer service. Maybe I should apply for the customer service or the sales position instead of the finance position.
No,
Okay.
no, because we are creatures of comfort.
Mhm.
We get comfortable doing something that we know how to do really well. That often we just do it because we know how to do it, and we're not operating with passion, with something that gives you the drive. So sometimes it has to be someone on the outside to be like, she's back there doing the finances, but every time she gets to talk to someone, every time I hear her on the phone calling to charge for a bill to discuss the invoice, she's spending 5 minutes on the phone. And every time she leaves the phone, she walks around all happy because she had that interaction because she cares about. So sometimes it takes somebody else to see that that's what's giving that person the drive
Mm.
and allowing the person to grow from there.
Marcella, what leadership behaviors or thoughts keep a business stuck?
Technology. It's not wanting to grow with what's trending, right? So, for example, it's accepting that AI is here to help us, not to replace us.
Right, right.
So we can be used, it's not intimidating, it's not being used against us. So it's accepting that I'm not old school. I
Mhm.
want to learn new things.
And really, AI is here to stay. It's
It's here to
not.
stay.
It's
So
not going anywhere.
why would you go against it instead of going with it?
Yes, yes. What do you do, and how do you handle leaders that are resistant to change?
I'm going to give two answers.
Okay.
Personally, I don't. um, it simply does not work for me.
Hmm.
I believe that you cannot want something for someone that they don't want for themselves.
Makes
So if
sense.
they're seeking my help and they don't want to change, then I'm not the person for them because I'm there to change,
Right. And
right?
as I was asking that question and thinking about that question, I was thinking also a leader that doesn't want change, I don't even see that they would reach out.
Sometimes
Or
they
do
do
they?
because they see that what they're doing is not working. They're
Hmm.
getting stuck, it's not growing. So to not sound so harsh, I'm gonna say I'm always going to give my honest professional insight and I'm gonna show proof. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm going to show proof, right? And then if someone wants to move slowly and make smaller decisions to build that trust, I definitely respect that. So you might not want to go crazy and make all the changes that I think you should make, but what changes are you comfortable doing it right now? And that's when I decide, are we a good fit to move forward or not?
Mm-hmm.
Because then if I see that they are not comfortable with the changes, then said, what are you comfortable with? And sometimes I might just want to refer them to somebody else. So go to this company, they'll do this for you.
What does a culturally competent organization look like in today's day and time?
In general,
Mm-hmm.
the leader listens more than talks.
Is that possible?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to use myself as an example.
Okay.
I don't ever say my staff, the girls that work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I say our team, us, our company, right? And then on our meetings, I always say, how's your day? How's your weekend? How are you doing? How's your family? I
Okay.
care about them as a person. If I ask a question that I might need it in the future, such as when is your birthday, I write it down because I don't want to have to ask twice. So I want them to feel heard. And then the other thing is, what do you love most about your job and what don't you like about your job? You're not
Are
hurting.
people honest with that question?
They are. They are. And 9 out of 10 times I hear, I love they care so much. And then what they don't like it, normally I don't really have complaints except for like little tasks that they don't like doing, which we all have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And often I said, does anybody want to take on those tasks? And I'll let them switch around. If it's something that's irrelevant, why not? Some things I don't mind doing. There might be annoying for somebody else, but you don't mind. So it's really just listening,
Mm-hmm.
but not only listening, making them feel heard.
Right. That is the important
Right?
piece.
Empathy is huge. So we're creating a workspace where the difference is an asset. We're taking each person, their qualities, what they bring to the table as an asset to the business, not an inconvenience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How can businesses create systems that uplift marginalized groups?
By standardizing opportunity, this means transparent hiring practices, building expectations, clear path for promotions, mentorship programs, feedback loops. As I said, asking what do you like, what don't you like. Um, just the removing the who you know and giving people chances. People want to prove them right. They want to challenge themselves,
Right.
right? And then being flexible, having that flexibility.
I feel like a lot of what you just said goes back to the leader writing everything down, like writing what they think, writing what they do, and that incorporates this as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If it doesn't live here, live somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can pick up where you left off and you can restructure. It's really, really easy to restructure, realign, create visions when it's in writing because now you're visualizing it.
What, when assessing company culture, and I don't know at what point that you do this, if you do this before you go in or after you go in, but when assessing company culture, what are some of your non-negotiable indicators of health within the company?
Number one is respect, mutual respect, how you talk to people, how you treat people. Accountability and communication are also huge.
Okay.
Everybody has to be accountable for what their responsibilities are. And communication. Hey, you know what? I know this is my job, but I can't get to this and it has to be done. Can you help me? That's communication. Can be so
Right.
said. Um, so if people avoid accountability, avoid conversation, or make others feel small, right, then the culture is unhealthy. No matter how profitable the company is, how big the company is.
When do you start assessing the company? Is it before you go in, the first day you go in, after you leave?
When you say, tell me about your company,
Okay. Yes.
if
So
you
that's
say,
at the very
tell me
beginning,
about
though,
your
right?
company,
That's
you
at
can,
the very beginning.
from the second that the person opens their mouth, you can tell.
Okay.
Which starts with I have versus we have, the company has. And then how do they refer about their employees? Our team versus I have.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you start assessing right then and there how you view your company and how
Mhm.
it's structured and the culture of the company.
What are some examples of racial microaggressions within the workplace that leaders often overlook or they don't even realize is there?
That's a tough one. Assuming that someone is underqualified. Um, because of their background.
Hmm.
For example, and this is actually a little touchy, but at least in South Florida, there's people from all over the world.
Hmm.
So assuming that someone doesn't know something because they have an accent, um, not learning how to spell or how to pronounce somebody's name properly. How do you say your name? You ask it once, write it down how it sounds in your head so you know how to say it. You don't have to say it again. That's respect, right? Dismissing concerns. You're like, that's not that big of a deal. Well, maybe not to you, right? So you listen to those things. Um, Something else is dismissing um, comments like I'm not sure what they meant by that. Well, ask questions. What do you mean by it? Can you explain it to me? Have that conversation where they actually expand their thinking. So those little things, when they're dismissive with their names, with what they have an accent, that means they don't know, they're underqualified. Don't assume. Maybe they don't know the exact word to the right pronunciation or how to use the proper word, but they can dwell, they can expand their thinking, and from that you can learn so much.
Right, right. I remember working in a traditional job, and the leader would always say about the secretary, she had like an aggressive conversation. She wasn't disrespectful. It was just maybe the tone and how she would speak, the secretary. And the leader would always say, that's just her culture. That's just how she is because of where she's from.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt that was horrible, like a horrible indication, a horrible way to explain about that person instead of bring them in and just have a conversation, because people would complain about it and she's not being disrespectful, it was just her tone. I never took offense to it, we were actually very close, but the leader would always say, oh, that's just because of her culture, that's just how they are.
And in this case, they're making excuses, right? And again, for someone like that, that's someone that I would actually point it out in the beginning. Maybe being as the secretary, the face of the company, is not a good fit. Let's find another role for her, right? And if they do believe that she is the best fit for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe hey, doing collections, that you need someone more blunt, more strict. That's not being disrespectful, but it's getting the point across. Who knows? That's
Right,
what I would say. Um,
right.
it's really just being like, hey, you know, I don't think you're being disrespectful, right? But it's not what you say it's how you say it. and just give some options, some substitutes of what she can say instead of something that she says over and over. So again, let's go right back to systems. What is her job? What does she say over and over? What is, even if they don't follow a certain script, what is being said over and over? And then finding different ways that she can say those things. That alone is going to change it.
Absolutely.
Fix it.
Absolutely.
Quick
Yes.
win.
I know that was a quick observation. Very good. Very good. Okay. What are some operational habits that tend to drag companies into stagnation?
Operations with no systems. Again, everything lives here. Everything is done differently depending on who is working.
Mm-hmm.
Then mistakes happen, things fall through the crack, and the owner really becomes the bottleneck of the business. Inconsistency kills momentum.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
Right?
How do you help companies streamline their process? And I know that you've been talking about having systems in place, writing down what you think and what you do. How do you create the streamlining? How do you create the systems without losing the humanity of the leader in the company and the creativity of the leader in the company?
As I said, so the process do not replace people.
Mm-hmm.
They support people. The bulk of the work is going to follow a certain process, right? And then again, once you follow the process, we're taking the information from the brain to the paper, then we're allowing the brain more room to think.
Right. And be more creative. You did say that earlier.
As the team has that brain space, they can develop and add to the process.
Okay. What's the relationship between systems thinking and organizational freedom?
Again, what I just said, the system thinking creates the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So once you don't have to think about the system, your brain has time and space to think and develop and be creative.
Okay, so for
not going to change, the more that the business is documented, organized, or structured, the more brain space you have to innovate, to rest, and to lead and to create. Freedom, the real freedom comes from knowing that the business can run without you.
Do leaders want that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how the business is going to keep on growing.
Okay. So let me lean into this really. I want to make sure that my community and my audience is hearing this. So when you're writing down this information, how do you even start that? Do you just wake up like, okay, on a Monday and say, I'm going to write down everything I think and do until Friday? Like, what is that tangible way to do that?
So that's overwhelming, right? So if you think, what do I do Monday through Friday? Your brain's going to go, pfft. What you do is on Monday, you say, how do I start my day? Let's write down everything that I have to do today. Then you're going to go and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to check my emails. I'm going to check my calendars. Then I'm going to respond. And then you do up to lunchtime. And then as you do it, you say, what's the most effective way to do it? And then you create systems. Okay, on the email, what I do is that I flag anything that takes over 5 minutes for me to do. I reply to everything that takes less than 5 minutes for me to do. Any other projects or tasks, I forward it, and then you create a system of how you do things, how your brain operates, right? Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that first part of the day, you're not going to have to rethink because you already have that system, right? So now you alleviate. Then let's say on Thursday, you say, you know what? I found out that taking 5 minutes to respond to an email is too long. Let me do 2 minutes or less. You go and you update the system, and that works out better. See, so now you have the time to think of more effective ways to do things.
Yes.
Right? And then you change it as you go because now you're just perfecting it. Right? So then let's say I'm out or I quit and somebody else is saying, how to do this job, and you present them with the system and they don't like the 2 minutes. They go back to 5 minutes. That's fine. But the bulk of the system of how the day is ran is there. Hey, you know
Mhm.
what? I find that I need to check my calendar and then I do emails at lunch. That's fine. Just change it. Right. But the bulk of the work is there.
Okay. Okay. So you are a business owner yourself.
Hmm.
How do you stay unstuck while helping others stay unstuck?
It's learning and growing. I learn every single day. I am
Mhm.
not stuck in my own ways. So I do at least 1 hour of learning a day. That's podcasts, that's YouTube. I have it on the background when I'm eating. I'm trying to learn, pick up things. If you pick up one little tip a day, you're learning, you're growing. I stay curious. What is that thing that they just mentioned in the podcast? Pause, let's figure it out. Right? Because that's when you're really learning, when you start digging,
Right.
dissecting something. Stay open minded. Hey, you know what? Somebody told me that checking the email at the end of the day is more productive. Your brain might go into panic, but hey, be open minded. Check in the beginning of the day, check it at the end of the day so you don't have to do. Stay open minded. I'm not saying that it is better, but
Right.
let's try it. Who said it's not?
Mhm.
Um, Connecting, conversations teach. Always active listening. When you listen to what other people say, you always pick up a valuable information. So conversations, getting something out of the conversations. Mistakes, learn from your mistakes. You know, I am a weirdo that loves when something goes really wrong because, again, take from my head to the paper. What went wrong? When I did this, this happened. And I start dissecting it to find out when and
Yes.
how it went wrong.
Yes.
How can I avoid that mistake the next time? And guess what? This mind dump just did? It created a system. Avoid your
Mhm.
mistake by doing this.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And
How?
then
Okay.
that growth that just keeps you unstuck because you're always developing, you're always creating.
Mhm. How can small business owners pursue growth? And I know that, throughout our conversation, you spoke about the importance of systems. Outside of that, what are some ways that small business owners can grow and scale their business?
Intention.
Mhm.
It's be clear on your mission and on your customers. Know how you're going to get there. Involve your community in your decisions, right? So
Mhm.
it's really like, what is your goal for the week? What is your goal for the month? What are your intentions? And what are you trying to achieve? What is your overall goal? Right? So you set your intentions. This week, I'm going to get this done, but you have to know why. Because I need this to get to here. So it's really just setting your focus and your intentions and your vision.
How do you coach companies or mentor leaders to pivot without panicking? Because whenever you're pivoting, there's change that's coming with that. A lot of people do not like change. So, how do you coach? How do you mentor that?
So we slow everything down and we
Hmm.
dissect it. We break everything down in small pieces. Whenever your brain feels overwhelmed, um, it's because we have too much information. So then we brain dump and we dissect it,
Okay.
right? So again, a lot of changes can be scary, but when you dissect it, we got to start somewhere. We start small, right? I also help them separate facts from emotions. We see
Yes.
the emotional trigger. Why do you feel this way? Well, the fact is, right, you might feel a certain way about your financials, but the numbers don't lie. I feel like I have the potential to, okay, that's your emotion. Reality is here. And then
Oh,
let's put it down how we're going to get there with facts. So I want my business to produce. I feel like my business has the potential to generate, $150,000 a quarter. Okay, what does that mean to you? How many customers do you need? And then we break down to facts. How can you get there? I feel like this is great. We break it down into small pieces. How are you going to get there? You need X amount of customers. Is that doable? To get X amount of customers, what's the outreach? So then we dissect and I'm like, guess what? Before we can get 50 customers in a month, let's start by getting 5. And then we break it down so it's achievable. So I'm the first one to say, like, okay, what you want sounds great. And yes, you do have the potential to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's remove your feelings and look at facts.
What are some current trends? And I kind of hate the word trends because I feel like they come and go. But for the purpose of this conversation, what are some current trends that you feel like companies should embrace to help with their growth and help with their scaling?
AI, automations.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much that AI and automations can do that, can free up our time.
Okay. Okay. So the other side of that conversation or the other side of that question, what are some trends that companies should stay away from?
Trying to replace human connections. There is nothing more frustrating for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that for many, than trying to get a human on the phone and not being able to.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes.
Right? So there are a few things that should not be replaced because here's the thing. It's good to automate and it's good to have the AI, but everyone has a unique circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have someone available to listen and to help you find a solution to that unique circumstance. You can't just rely on that. So don't replace the human interaction, the human connection. We need that human touch, that empathy. Yeah.
Okay, so as we're getting ready to wrap up, I have a few more questions for you. I have a lot of business leaders and entrepreneurs within my community that listen and that are engaged. So, for the business leader that's listening right now that feels stuck, maybe they feel stuck, what's the very first step you think they should do to get unstuck or start to get unstuck? Because I know it's not a one day
No.
process.
I would say that accountability, use your community for your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Accountability is everything, right? So it's putting your goals, putting your vision, putting everything in writing, but having someone that's going to help you stay accountable. So have your actions and have someone that's going to stay accountable. I like to say I do my complimentary consultations and I help him draw that map.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I have no problem saying, hey, you should do this, 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 and that. Telling someone that they need to do it and implement it. And I feel like that's why, my business is successful because we make sure that they're being implemented. It's 100% accountability. And making a financial commitment holds people accountable.
It does. Because they don't want to
That's the
waste the
best
money.
accountability partner is the dollar bills that you pay because now you have to get your money back. Now you have
Mm-hmm.
to make enough to pay for what you've spent, right? But really, what I do is hold them accountable, keep them moving, right? And what their financial investment does is hold them accountable. But you can do this for free. Do in your community. Come up with a plan. Have a friend and stay accountable. It's just for some reason, our brain is just wired that if it's free, we don't value.
And that is not true at all.
No, the most important assets that we have are free, our health.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
We take care of it once we lose it.
Right. And then that's a whole nother podcast. I'm not going to get into it. But yes,
Right?
but you are right. You are right. I am in agreement with you. You are absolutely correct. So you are a business owner that helps other business owners, small businesses, medium-sized businesses get unstuck. What is your intention in that? You just want to get them unstuck?
I want to see them thrive.
Mm.
I really, really love to see a business thriving based on simple concepts, based on authenticity, like just seeing someone's business take off by making little tweaks here and there.
Right, right. All right. You have been amazing on this podcast, and I have enjoyed every second of it. So, my final question for you: who do you think would make a great guest on the podcast? But you have to help me get them on.
Sounds good. I have a good friend. Her name is Carrie.
Mhm.
She's actually a divorce coach.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know those they existed.
Yes. She was the first one that I ever knew that was a thing. She helped. She's a psychologist. She worked for the school board. Um, and her experience, but just I feel like we all have relationship issues, and that affects our professional life.
Mhm.
But having someone coaching you go through, one of the hardest seasons of
Yes.
your life can really make a difference so your life doesn't fall apart. And because of her background and what she does, she's just such a phenomenal person. And because a lot of people don't know that divorce coaches exist.
Wow.
Yep.
I cannot wait to speak to Carrie, and I'm going to tell her I did not know that that existed.
Yeah, so that she works alongside with attorney, but she gives a powerful perspective on communication, boundaries, and emotional intelligence that you can use in other areas, not just if you're going through a divorce, just
Hmm.
in general, in relationship. And I'm not talking like romantic relationship, just in relationships in general. Life is all about
Yes,
relationships.
it is. Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to speak to her. That's
Yeah,
going to be a very interesting podcast.
so great.
Well, again, Miss Marcela, thank you so much for being on this podcast. You have been amazing, and you have given some really great, tangible ways that companies can get unstuck, that companies can scale, that companies can grow. So I appreciate your willingness to give us that information.
It's been such a pleasure. I love talking to you. I love the podcast. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. And to my community, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. You can get Marcela's podcast and all of my other podcasts on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And remember, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.